Okay. Chaim l'chaim. Didn't know there was a clock. Well, it's behind me. I guess I could try to put this on the clock, right? Well, that's not so good. You don't have to see me.
You get something that sticks to the wall, and then put your phone up there. Maybe.
Why would that help me?
Because then you have to be able to move.
Okay, so I want to see the clock.
For the, I don't know,
For the powers that be. Oh,
for the
thanks,
people,
Coleman.
people who are tuning
Tuning in. Yep. Okay, so yesterday we started the Indian of Aveda, and the Rebbe taught us about Yira, Kabbalah soul. The first step in Aveda Hashem, Reishis Aveda Vikara V'Shasha. The beginning of the Aveda. Chapter 41 in Tanya. It's a minhag in Lubavitch to say it Baal Peh every day. I mean, first you have to learn it Baal Peh. Just the first the first 15, 20 lines of it. Say it Baal Peh every day before davening. If you don't know it Baal Peh. So one year, some of the shluchim here put together one of those little plastic cards with it on it. So it might be some in the office somewhere. It says, however, since this pasuk kai stands is relevant to gam al loshen hatfila al inyan hatfila. I'm sorry. Why? Because of Rambam. The Rambam says, mitzvahs aseh lispel. There's a mitzvahs aseh to daven once a day. Shneimar v'vadatem esavay lekechem. You should serve God. Mipia shmua, based on tradition lamadno. This is Gemara in Megillah. Mipia shmua lamadno shavoida zuhi tefila. That this avoida is tefila. What does it mean? V'vadatem, serve God, daven. Shneimar, and how do we know? The Gemara says, how do we know that ula'avdei v'vadatem is dafka tefillah la'avdei, because another pasuk says, pasuk in Devarim, la'avdei b'chol levavchem. You should serve him. With all your. You should serve him with all your heart. What do Chachamim say? I'm a Chachamim about that. Ezehi aveda shebelev. What is the aveda that you do with your heart? Zu tefillah. So that's the Rambam, who holds that davening once a day is a mitzvah d'oraisa. Right? 3 times a day is that's all d'rabbanan. The times are d'rabbanan. The actual makeup of the prayers, right? What shmona hashmona. So it looks like what we do actually, right? From Birchas HaShachar to Psukei Zimra and Birchas Kriya Shema, davening. Right? Those 4 relate to Yud Kei Vav Kei from the bottom up. Kei Vav Kei Yud. So the Rambam's what?
Which were those?
Brachos or Malchus down here, Mazin. Right? You're talking about putting your feet on the ground and standing up and putting your clothes on and having a hat on your head. Right? Psukei Zimra is Elam HaYetzirah. Vav. Birchas Kriya Shema is the K. And Tefillah is Yud. Silent, Bittul, Chochmah. The Machlokes Rishonim, whether or not davening is a mitzvah d'oraisa. Everybody agrees that at some point we're supposed to daven. The Ramban holds the mitzvah of davening, that's d'oraisa, is to daven in times of trouble. That if chas v'shalom the Jewish people are in times of trouble, so then there's a mitzvah d'oraisa to daven to Kadosh Baruch Hu, will they help us get out of this time of trouble? That's the Ramban. The Ramban does not hold that the daily davening that you and I do is a mitzvah d'oraisa. He holds it's a mitzvah d'rabbanan. Right? The Rambam holds that there's a mitzvahs asay min Torah that is not time bound because it's only one a day. That's why women are obligated to daven once a day at least. According to the Ramban, because it's a din d'Rabbanan, and the din d'Rabbanan is to daven twice a day. So actually, the Ramban paskins that women are obligated to daven twice a day, which is generally what women do. Right? They're much less time bound. These two davenings they do, but they daven twice a day. Right? Women are supposed to daven shachris and mincha. They can daven shachris at 3 in the afternoon, but I mean they daven. They don't usually, but right. But they'll daven shachris and mincha. Men took upon themselves to daven ma'ariv. There is a position, not widely held, but it's a real position in Torah, that women also are chayav to daven ma'ariv because when the men took upon themselves to daven ma'ariv, so that was for the whole Jewish people. Right? Very few women daven ma'ariv. When women do daven ma'ariv is Friday night. Women daven ma'ariv Friday night in order to be makabel Shabbos in ma'ariv, so that then they don't have issues with their husband's kiddush. Right? They also say, our minhag is that the women say, lahadlik ner shel Shabbos kodesh. So they mention the kedusha of Shabbos when they light licht, because if the woman didn't daven, didn't say good Shabbos to anybody, didn't do any action that shows that she is aware of the fact that it's Shabbos, which could theoretically happen. Right? So then the husband has a din d'Rabbanan to make kiddush on wine. The woman has a din d'Oraisa to be mekadesh the Shabbos. Right? Because women are obligated in all positive commandments in Shabbos, Zochar v'Shomer b'dibur echad, that remember and guard are said at once. In the first dibur in Shmeis that we read last week, it says Zochar siyum Shabbos. In Devarim it says Shomer siyum Shabbos. What's that? So Chazal says Zochar v'Shomer dibur echad. The Rebbe said those two words at once. Right, and what do they represent? Positive commandments, negative commandments. That means that even though Shabbos is a mitzvah shazman grom, it's a time-bound mitzvah, but women are obligated in all the positive commandments of Shabbos, just like that women are obligated in negative time-bound commandments, just like men, right? But women are not obligated in time-bound positive commandments. Most, some they are. But mostly aren't, right? Women have to hear Megillah, women have to eat matzah, right? Women have to keep Shabbos. Now, keeping Shabbos doesn't just mean the negative, also means the positive because of that drasha, Zachar v'Shomer dibur echad. So a woman has to hear Kiddush. So, d'oraisa. Now, when you make Kiddush on wine, it's d'Rabbanan. There's a din d'Rabbanan to make Kiddush on wine. So the husband is doing it. He said Mekadesh Shabbos in Ma'ariv. He's already Mekadesh Shabbos. If she didn't daven Ma'ariv, so then she hasn't done that. Mm-hmm. So how can he be matzi her if he's got a din d'Rabbanan and she has a din d'Oraisa? They're doing two completely different things, right? It's one of the reasons that women generally daven Ma'ariv Friday night.
If they don't,
they should, guys, then they should at least say, "Wow, Shabbos is holy, Shabbos Kodesh." Even there's positions that say saying good Shabbos is already being Mekayim in the mitzvah of Kabbalah of Kodesh, the Shabbos D'oraisa, because you're paying heed to the fact that it's Shabbos.
So what about the reason I asked is because I'm majerech at a place where some people come, don't keep Shabbat. Some of the women might not even daven. So for that,
so just have them say good Shabbos. Have a good Shabbos, everybody.
Good
Everybody goes good Shabbos. Good Baruch Hashem. Okay, now you're done. No, it's a good question, right? Just good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, Gabi. Have them say good Shabbos to you. Good Shabbos.
or Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah.
No, Shabbat Shalom doesn't count. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, our pasuk. I mean, back to our mimer. I think it's important to say what we just said because you should learn. That we're learning Hilchos Tefillah here. The Rebbe just taught us, so it's important to know those dinim in Tefillah. Right. Bottom line, you have a din d'oraisa. Learn the Rambam in Hilchos Tefillah. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Rambam explains the whole how tefillah works, how it came about. He's just amazing. He's absolutely amazing. So tefillah is an expression of love. So v'avadim es avay isn't simply, we said yesterday, the simple pshat is avodas ha'eved, the union of an eved, a servant, yira, right? An eved doesn't love it. He might love his master, but the ikar of an eved is yira, right? He does what he does because, there's the lowest level of yira, that the eved only does what he does because he's afraid that if he doesn't, he'll get whipped, right? And that's the lowest it can be, but at least that is a level. And in Avodas Hashem, that's called Yiras HaOnish, the fear of a punishment for doing something against the will of God. It's the lowest level of Avodah. But it's still Avodah, meaning the person's still doing what they're doing because God wants it done, but they're doing it for the lowest possible reason. And there's higher levels of Yira. The highest level of Yira is actually higher than Ava because it basically goes Yira Tata, lower level Yira, Ava Zuta, small love, Ava Rabba, great love, and then Yira Ilah. The highest level of Yira is the fear, so to speak, of doing anything that will harm the relationship. It's even, it's higher than love, right? So when the wife says, could you please not turn on the radio? I have a headache. The reason the husband doesn't turn on the radio is not because if he does, he's going to get a pan over the head, right? The reason he doesn't turn on the radio is because he doesn't want to do anything to harm his relationship with his wife. He loves her and he doesn't want to separate himself from her, right? So he's not going to turn on the radio. She says, I have a headache, please don't turn it on. There's no radio anymore, I know, but just pretend, right? Okay. So that's Yira Ilah. That's also, it's just interesting how the mashal brat is that the closer you get to the Eibishter, at a certain point you're drawn closer and closer and closer by the beauty of it all, and that's all Ava, but the closer you get at a certain point you go, whoa, and pull back, right? Because it's so awe-inspiring. So it's not that you want to jump in, no. It's the year of it. Not fear, awe. The mashal I heard once, it's a good mashal if you've ever been there, is Niagara Falls. You ever been to Niagara Falls? Oh, well, you have for sure. As you're walking along, and I was very surprised. I assumed I was going to have to go through some gate and pay to get in. It's on the street. It's just on the street. You're walking along the street, and all of a sudden the pavement starts getting wet because of the spray. And then you start getting a little damp because of the spray. But tell me if this is true. I think this is true. I was watching everybody. This is what I did, and then I started watching other people because I thought of this. This is Pashut Yira Ilah here. You walk closer and closer and closer and closer until you are so close you feel that you can reach out and touch the falls. And the power of that water is beyond belief. You imagine yourself in there. You are a bag of bones in a half a second. The power is just beyond belief. As you're standing where the water is going over the falls. You're watching it. It's unbelievable. And how is everybody standing there like this? They all are holding onto the railing with their arms outstretched. Right now, their kids are going, oh, so they're pulling their kids back. Right, but all the adults are standing like this. As soon as they get that close, they're whoa. It is frightening how powerful that water is. It's just incredible. It's like probably the only waterfall in the world you get up that close to, and it's just
definitely
huge.
One of the kids,
Yeah, for sure. I do 100%.
That's what he used to tell us.
Baruch Hashem, there is some rock there before the so if God forbid a kid, but I think it's probably very slippery and very hard to. So you're holding on to your kids. The kid's hand is turning white because you're squeezing it with all your might that he won't move. But it is interesting that the adults are all standing like this. They'll go like this. But as you're walking along the street, you're starting to walk faster because you just want to get there. It's so beautiful, you want to see it. And that's the av of it. But once you get there, whoa.
Then you do the maiden in the mist. And then it's
there's a boat down there. I did that when I was 8 years old. I don't remember.
That's beautiful. But no, our Rabbi used to tell us a story of two people who threw themselves down the falls in a barrel.
Right, that was a famous thing to do that in a barrel.
And so that was
what happened to them?
I think one of them died, and I think one of them survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's one of those things that, you know,
Not
if
so
you
like-
live to I guess you'll always remember it. But I mean, you know, yeah. But it is, if you're ever in northeastern United States, do yourself a favor. It's really Canada. You want to be on the
Yeah.
Canadian side. The
The
American
Canadian
side
side's
is it's amazing, but it's not, the Canadian side is just beyond belief. And I mean, you see the power of Teva in a way there that you just don't see anywhere. It's frightening how powerful that water is. So it is. It's gorgeous, but it's so interesting how everybody's like this because it's frightening.
Also, Niagara is a city. It's like a nice place. It's like
Yeah.
a pretty nice place.
Yeah, as long as you don't have to stay overnight. Stay overnight, it'll cost you $4,000 to get a tent. But whatever. Anyway, okay. So tefillah is love. All right. So that means in our pasuk there's also love, not just fear. Simple pshat of Veda is Eved, but also v'vadatem es v'alakechem. This particular pasuk, tomorrow's chittus, right? The last pasuk of tomorrow's chittus is also about love, as the Rebbe is about to say, because this pasuk is the source of the mitzvah deraisa to daven, according to the Rambam and many others. Muvan shebezen nichlal. Therefore, it's understood. Fifth line. Shebezen nichlal, and this is incorporated neisif al aveda miyira, in addition to the aveda miyira, which is what we learned yesterday. Gamin yin aveda miyava. Also love. Why? Shezawinyan at tefillah. That's what tefillah is. Tefillah is an expression of our love for Kadosh Baruch Hu, which is why we find it so hard, because we don't have any props. There's words. We have words to say, but there's no props. There's no physical objects that we can, fiddle around with. Right? So putting tefillin on is a relatively easy mitzvah. I think we find pleasurable and easy. Davening is probably the hardest thing we do, because we have to, ultimately, in order to do it properly, we have to be telling God that we love him, and we might not. Right? Meaning I might, on some level, want to, but I might very well love myself more than I love him. Oh, okay, and might love other things in the world more than I love him. Okay, that might be the case, and if that's the case, it's going to be very hard to daven to him. Right? Does that mean we never say any words of truth? That's not true at all. Sometimes we do. There's a famous story about the Chassidish Rav who said that when he sometimes he davens, and he only has one machshava zara, foreign thought, through davening. And he said, sometimes I daven better, and I have two foreign thoughts through davening. And sometimes I really daven well, and I have three foreign thoughts. So the Chassidim didn't understand it. It should be the other way around, right? So they said, well, what's pshat? So he said, the first, I have one foreign thought. From the beginning of davening till the end, I have one long foreign thought, and that's not very good. He said, sometimes in the middle, I actually start thinking about God. And then I go back to foreign thoughts. So I have two foreign thoughts, one before and one after, that I was actually thinking about God in the middle. And he said, sometimes when I really daven well, I think about him twice. And so I have a foreign thought, then I think about God, then a few more foreign thoughts, then I think about God. And so that's really good davening. Mm-hmm. And if someone says to you, gee, I had really good davening, I had really good kavanah when I daven, what does that mean? I guess I didn't. Because what was I paying attention to? My kavanah. When you talk to a person, you think, oh, gee, I really said that well. Oh, aren't I enunciating well? Oh, I actually meant that. Hi, Eitan, good morning. Oh, gee, I really said that so well. I'm so proud of myself. That's what you do? Right? Well, if you're a maniac, right? Okay, so if we do that with the Eibusher, it means I'm paying attention to what I'm saying and not to what, so to speak, he's supposed to be hearing. I mean, how I'm saying, so to speak. Right? You get the idea. There are times when Baruch Hashem feel a real powerful connection. The connection is in the words. They're very powerful words. David HaMelech knew how to do it. Chazal knew how to do it. Rabbi Levengood was once asked in the girls' school, he told me about this, and it was just a great answer. The girls were upset, like many, many people are upset, especially Balei Tshuva. How can I possibly have any intention when I'm saying the same things over and over every single day? Right? I want to be creative. Right? I want to say what I want. Right? So how can I? She gave a great answer, and it's true. This is what God wants to hear. God likes these words. So what words are you going to say? The words you want to say or the words he wants to hear? Which is a very beautiful answer. It's hard. Wait a minute, saying the same, but God likes these words. Right? Your wife likes good morning more than hi zis. So what do you say every morning? Good morning. Right? You want hi zis. Okay, but say that's your problem. Right? Say good morning. That's what she likes. Right? Okay. It's a very powerful answer. Very simple, but very powerful. These are the words God likes. Why? I don't know. It's my business. Right? Going to interrogate your wife about every single thing that she likes in life before you do it? Won't last. Right? Leave her alone. Just do what she wants. Hopefully she's doing the same to you and you'll just have a great time together. Right? But if you're going to be interrogating her to understand every single thing that she wants and why, and I can't do it until I know, could you live with someone like that? Leave me alone. Just go, watch a football game. I don't know. Leave me alone. Whatever women tell men to do. Go learn a page of Gemara, you man. Okay, whatever. Va'inyan bezeh, the Rebbe explains. Dihine, pu'ulas atfila, the effect of tefillah. He hein b'nefesh elokis, v'hein b'nefesh abahamis. It's both in the nefesh elokis and the nefesh abahamis. The reason tefillah is as hard as it is because the part of you and I that has to actually do the davening is our nefesh abahamis. Conscious me has to be saying those words and paying attention to them, and that's very hard for my nefesh abahamis to do that. My nefesh elokis loves God. My nefesh elokis wants to daven, but it's very, very hard for my nefesh abahamis to do that. So both of them are affected. Ki tefillah, the word tefillah, milashon teifel. What's teifel? To braid. Something like braiding together, joining things together. So what's tefillah? Shuin in a chibur, a connection. Sha'al yada, that through it, what happens? An amazing thing. Nases ha'ischabrus, the connection of the nefesh elokis im sharsha, u'makara. The godly soul is reunited with her source. The godly soul is sent far away from her source, so to speak, down here in Olam Hazeh. And what does she want to do? She wants to reunite. Okay, so how might you do that in Gashmias in Olam Hazeh? You'll make a WhatsApp call. You'll talk to them. Right? And you feel connected to those people who are far away, who you love. So the Nefesh Elokis wants to talk to the Eibishter, wants to connect to the Eibishter, Tefillah. So the Nefesh Elokis is elevated by that Tefillah. V'oid inyan b'Tefillah. There's something else in Tefillah, and this is the harder part. And but the Nefesh Elokis is dependent on this part, because Nefesh Elokis is always dependent on the Nefesh Abahamis doing what the Nefesh Abahamis has to get done in order for the Nefesh Elokis to get what it wants. Unless your Nefesh Abahamis decides to put on tefillin, then your Nefesh Elokis doesn't get to put on tefillin. Your Nefesh Elokis obviously wants to put on tefillin, but your Nefesh Abahamis has to decide, that person you call I is going to put on tefillin. That's your Nefesh Abahamis. So the Nefesh Abahamis is also affected. What's that? Void inyan b'tefillah. Shal yoda, that through tefillah nase birur v'zikuch nefesh abahamis. There's a rectification and a purification of the nefesh abahamis, which is obvious. Right? To get the nefesh abahamis to daven, but again, it's very, very difficult. So I have to get my nefesh abahamis to be truly interested in elokus, mitzad elokus. That's why tefillah is so hard. You can't. There's not going to be any loy lishma in it. Right? Learning Torah, a person can get intellectual satisfaction from sitting and learning Torah. Right? Okay. So tefillah, it's true, the person could theoretically roll their eyes in the back of their head and sway back and forth and enjoy that feeling. Okay, beseder, but I mean, at that point, they're probably not saying any words, right? When they're actually saying the words, it's sort of hard to do it. I mean, I can do it for the wrong purpose, but the wrong purpose is not going to be some sort of spiritual wrong purpose. It's going to be some sort of, well, I'm religious Jew and I have to daven shacharis, and it'll be over soon. Right? If it's all the wrong purpose, right? Because there's no props. I have to get my Nefesh Abamis to tell the Eibishter that I love him. It's hard to do. It might be my Nefesh Abamis is more interested in breakfast. Right? Okay. Or more interested in experiencing spiritual upliftedness, which doesn't have anything to do with love of God necessarily. It has to do with love of self. I like it. Right? But davening is not about spiritual upliftedness. Davening is, now I'll experience spiritual upliftedness if I tell God I love him and I'm actually paying attention to it. But it's not about spiritual upliftedness. It's about telling God that I love him. And there happens to be this advantage to that, this side, what do you call it? Something you get on the side. And what's that? You're definitely elevated spiritually. That's what the Rebbe's talking about. The Nefesh Bahamis is elevated. Right? But I have to get the Nefesh Bahamis on board. Right? So there can be a biur and a zichur of the Nefesh Bahamis. But that biur and zichur, Nefesh Bahamis is going to be thinking about itself less, not more. Right? Not more about its spiritual feeling. No, less about its spiritual feeling and more about what God wants, which you're now expressing, this tremendous love of him. Vahalas anitzutzos, elevating the sparks, the gufa of his body, because you're asking for all sorts of things that are shaykh to your everyday life in a physical world. The chelka be'elam, and his portion in the world, which we learned about in Basi Lagani, portion of the world is that part of Elam Hazeh that's yours, your car, your clothes, your shoes, however you came into those shoes. Right? Kalman might have given you shoes. Where did Kalman get the shoes? Who knows? You never know how you get shoes. Okay. There's a famous, it's very good. I think it's famous because all English-speaking Jewish kids know this about someone comes into the butcher who's a good guy and he's crying, he has no shoelaces. I have no shoelaces. So the butcher says, here's a couple of coppers, go buy your shoelaces. So he's still crying. You hear him crying. So the butcher, who's the good guy, he says, what's wrong now? I have no shoes. So then he gives him more money for shoes. It started with the shoelaces. Right? So Baruch Hashem, we have shoes. That's our chelik in the island. We have clothes. We have things that happen to us. Okay, those things are all elevated by proper tefillah. So now, let's read one more line. It's Thursday. The word dehine starts an incredibly important and amazing discussion on the difference between yira and ava, which we'll do slowly on Sunday as opposed to quickly now. Okay, but we'll read one more. Beis and Yoni Melu, these two ideas, elevating the Nefesh Elokis and the Nefesh Bahamis. Now, the Rebbe doesn't explain it to us yet. He's going to in the next line. Heim ba'aveda da'ava dafka, specifically ba'ava, not ira. It's very interesting. Right? Now, we'll see what the Rebbe is about to say, and we'll see it can be ba'ira, but it doesn't have to be. I don't have to bring, we said earlier, right, that I don't have to bring about any change in myself in order to do the Aved of Kabbalah Soul. Right? What's Kabbalah Soul? Commitment to doing that which has to be done. Have I brought about a change in myself, in my seichel, my midas? That's exactly what the Rebbe said. Even if I haven't, so I say, Kabbalah Soul, just do what has to be done. Hopefully those changes are going to come, but those changes evidently come more through Ava than Yira. That's the Aved of Ava. So we'll see. The Rebbe's going to say some absolutely astounding things about the difference between Yira and Ava in Aveda. Okay, we'll see that on Sunday. Sorry I got here late, but I'm sorry I'm so tired. But I'm just tired.
Okay.
Got home very late last night, and
I think a lot of people